That record held now with the camera completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Mr. Andy.
Hello Mr. Elton, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. We're here to look at the Grand Prix of Japan for 2018. I nearly said 15 for some reason, I don't know why. But I think we should have a little disclaimer at the beginning of this episode.
I was about to suggest disclaimer as well, yes. It's been an eventful few days for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
As regular listeners to the cast know, I have this nasty habit of disappearing to the other side of a planet. So I only landed on Friday, which you'd think is fine, but I had to go straight from the airport to a job. So I walked up at the job with my suitcase, did the job, came home. And then the next day
You didn't even go home before that?
Didn't have time to go home. But my flight was 2 hours delayed, had no time to go home.
Okay.
I actually had to have my brother take some camera equipment to the location the day before, so it was waiting for me. So I went and did the job. Then the next day on Saturday, I was filming, and I was told it would finish about 11 o'clock, which was fine. It finishes at 11, about an hour to get home, so I'm home for 12, sleep, get up at 6, ready to watch the race. Yeah, it finished at 4 o'clock. But I got home at 4 o'clock that morning. And for you, dearly listeners, I decided I am going to tough this out. I had 2 hours kit.
Yeah.
I set my alarm, and I woke up to watch the race. What I should say is there was a laptop on my chest with the race on, and I was kind of sat in bed, and I kind of drifted in and out of it. I did go back and rewatch it.
Yeah,
but I can't blame it on the race for being boring as to what was putting me to sleep. I'm putting it down to the lack of sleep. Sleep. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are my excuses for being crap. What are yours?
I got whisked to A&E because I thought I was dying, and I will not go into the details, but my symptoms were very, very bad, and it turns out I just wasted their time. Well, that's how I feel anyway. I feel like I wasted their time. I'm sure I didn't, but it's always good to err on the side of caution. But flipping out, I've told you what it was. I ain't telling anyone else yet. Anyway.
No, I was going to say I was like, I thought I'd had a rough one. I was going to mock you for cancelling yesterday, saying, well, I had to fly back and do all this filming in 2 hours. And when you told me, I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, yeah, you win this round, McManus. You win this round.
I'm sure I'll mention it on the next Black Dog podcast episode, which is recording tomorrow night as well. So
it's a juicy dangler for all the listeners out there. A little cross-pollination, you see.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, you don't want to hear about that on here. All you really do need to know is if we sound a bit foggy-brained or a bit cloudy, or we're
not up to the usual high standard that you come to expect from us.
Yes. If we forget to swear, shall we say, then this is the reason why.
Yes.
So you have been warned. There may not be any swearing in this episode.
No. But if there is, try not to be offended, because we do that sometimes.
And really, we don't care.
No, we don't. We don't give a fuck. Hey!
But dumb and indeed.
Yes,
so,
right.
Should we get on to this episode? I want to know what you thought once you actually got around to watching the race correctly. What did you think of it?
And again, with my disclaimers of I kind of drifted in and out of it the first time around, and then when I went to rewatch it, it seemed like there was a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, because qualifying was wet, so I was hoping we'd have some of that for the race.
Mm.
And it was a glorious sunny day, which was great. It's lovely. I'm sure if you were there, it was a lovely day to be there. And I do love the Suzuka circuit, but it was far from the best race of the season. Far from the worst, but in the words of Immortan Joe, mediocre.
Okay. Cool. I think I held it a bit higher in esteem than yourself. Maybe because I was on a massive come down, but I thought this was brilliant. I didn't think it was the best race of the season, but it's definitely up there in the top 5.
Oh, I don't think it's top 5. Maybe I'm coming across a bit harsh. I always enjoy coming to Suzuka. It's a great circuit. And there was a couple of interesting overtakes, a couple of interesting attempts at overtakes, which we'll get into a bit. But I think what kind of stopped this really going up to the next level is I think the fight's been knocked out of Vettel and Ferrari. So to quote the famous poem, this is how it ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Yeah. And
it was all set up for being something epic. And even qualifying, I don't want to. I don't want to spoil qualifying. You've all watched it anyway. But when you had Vettel messing it up, or Ferrari messing it up with a strategy and ending up further down,
yeah.
If that had been reversed and it was Mercedes had done it wrong, then I think this could have been a proper classic race, having them fighting through.
I don't know. They seem to. Whenever Hamilton's been put on the back foot, he's just cut through, isn't he?
True, but I feel that when you're in a situation where the underdog's out in front and has a chance of, clawing back some of the lost ground.
Yeah.
And then you've got, the champion-elect, whatever you want to call him, has had a step back. And we've seen in the past when things don't always go his way, Hamilton gets a bit down, a bit downtrodden, has a bit of a sulk, and it can all go a bit wrong. We could have tightened it up.
Yeah.
I mean, a DNF from Hamilton here would have been the points difference to be down to 25 points.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden it's like 25 points with 3 races to go. That's doable. But it didn't happen that way.
It happened kind of the exact opposite of that, didn't it?
Yeah, it was the opposite, in fact. So that was a shame.
Okay, cool. Well, in between the week that we had in between Sochi and this race in Suzuka, was there any news that sprung on the internet?
There was some news with the disclaimer of it being the other side of the world and having other shit to deal with last week. I wasn't as on top of it as I normally am.
Yeah.
But I'll see if we can pull out some of the key points. Let's see what was there. I mean, there's a lot of fallout from the team orders thing from Mercedes, with it falling into 2 camps, basically being, well, duh, of course they were going to do it. To, well, he had 43 points. Did he really need 50? So that was the argument in a nutshell. So was that.
I think we pretty much covered that last time as well, didn't we?
We covered that. Let's just say it was ongoing all week.
Oh, yeah,
We had Ferrari have some new livery, which I thought was going to be some big change, but nope, still red. So until Ferrari decide to run a livery that's not red, announcing Ferrari running a new livery just seems like a massive lie.
It's just another title sponsor, and I really haven't looked into it either.
It's just a different. There's a different logo on the rear wing. It's Mission Winome or something like that. I don't know, but who cares?
I think it's a rubbish logo as well. I know that the M and the W is supposed to make an arrow. It just looks pony.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
Let's see what else we had. Did we talk about? We talked about Kvyat going to Toro Rosso last time, didn't we?
I think we did. Yes,
we did. What's his name? Frank Tost has indicated they'll probably keep Hartley going into next year. I don't know if that's because they don't want to rock the boat. Okay. They'd rather have some continuity. They feel he has potential. I don't know, but it's been heavily hinted that Hartley will stick around.
If he doesn't match Kvyat, I reckon he'll be out by mid-season.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Equally so, if Kvyat, though, doesn't match Hartley, what does that mean?
Well, they can't sack him again, can they? That's against all the laws in the land.
I think it entirely depends on how much money he's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. It was only a week between races and there wasn't anything massively newsworthy there.
The only 2 things I remember seeing are Ferrari, well, the hint that Ferrari were running a boost, and questions were abound about that. And what else was there? Oh, Q4 rearing its head as well.
Oh, actually, there was one other bit of news. There's Q4. There's also, apparently, we're getting a Vietnamese Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. I will believe that Oh, when I see it.
Yeah. Oh, there were Kimi haikus as well, which were terrible.
Before I forget, we had a request, I believe, for you to read something in a dramatic reading, was it?
In the Kimi accent.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay, right. I'm gonna have to really scroll through and find one of these. Hey, how do you look? I've forgotten how to use Twitter now. Jesus. Hey, hang on. It's gonna be no.
Would you like me to send them to you?
If you could.
I will send them to you.
You don't have to, because that means I actually have to read them out.
No, I've sent them to you. You got them.
You're
They're in the chat.
Of a gun. Okay, hang on a second. Where is it? Okay, Kimi Räikkönen. Here we go. What do we have here then? See, my internet is like well slow and stuff. Here we go. Oh. Right, let me open up these pictures. Here, right. On phones, Kimi Räikkönen, yes?
Yes.
Always silent. I don't like it when it rings and people are calling. There you go. That's it.
Come on. Let's have some more. Do the Finland one.
Finland. In summer, there's fishing. In winter, the fishing is bad. Jesus. People actually wrote this in pen and put it in a book. And then people bought it.
One more. It's the radio one.
Okay, radio silence. Quiet radio. Very obvious things is not necessary. Okay. Jesus. Right, let's never. Oh, okay. Is that the sponsor of what? I'm just looking at the front page.
Yeah, it's the sponsor.
That's the sponsor, isn't it? That's the logo. Oh, it's so bony, that arrow.
So if anyone out there has access to one of these books and wants to donate it to Elton, we can have him read a different one each episode.
Oh, jeez. What are you doing to me, man?
So someone go and find out the haiku book. What's it actually called? It's the Winnow Your Words, Kimi's Book of Haiku. Find the book, send it to us, and Elton will read one every episode. There's
got to be one about steering wheels, hasn't it? Tell the man to give the steering wheel to me. Give it to me. Hey. There you go. That's the last one. No more. Kimi haikus, man. There we go. Right.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's get into free practice then, yeah?
Yes.
I'm assuming you haven't seen any of this because you had far too many pressing things to do, which were far more important than actually.
I believe for most of the free practices, I was on a plane.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you missed Gasly getting in the way of Hamilton at the chicane and sending Lewis down into the escape road. And it was a case of Gasly backing up again. Once again, it's people backing up and causing problems for other people when Hamilton was on a fast lap. And if Hamilton didn't have his quick as a cat reflexes, then I'm sure there would have been a massive plane crash at the end of that lap. So, yeah, all ends well. So there were no dramas or anything like that. It was just one of them silly little things that seems to happen in nowadays Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
FP2, Lewis was clutching at his tinkle as he was driving around, and he was saying things like, "This track is awesome," which it is. I give him that. And I'm having the best day. Oh, Jesus, man. Honestly, you couldn't rub it in more. Vettel must have been listening to that going, fuck off. Just turn him off. I don't want to listen to it. Just don't want to listen to it. But he was clearly driving around clutching at his little winky. Surely. But I'm glad he was having a good day. That's good. It's good to hear people having a good day. And FP3, it was brought short when Nico Hülkenberg crashed at T5, bringing out the red flags. It wasn't the best crash I've seen. It wasn't the worst crash I've seen, but yeah, he totaled his Renault, so that was the end of that. In Q1, Vettel had a very weak spin at the hairpin just before Ericsson binned his Sauber at the Dunlop curb, bringing out the red flags again. Yeah, and we lost Ericsson, Van Dorn, Alonso, Sirotkin, and Hulkenberg.
So pretty much the usual. Well, the only surprise there is probably Hulkenberg. Other than that, it's the usual suspects, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought Stroll would have ended up in there, but no, it was Hulkenberg instead. Yeah, I wasn't too sure if it was wet or not in Q1. There were spots of rain every now and again, but nothing to really write home about. I think there was more spots in Q2. Where there was a couple of penalties which weren't all engine related. Oh, okay, yeah. Should we go over them after this?
I'll mention it now since it.
Okay.
I've started, so I'll finish.
Okay, fair play.
Esteban Ocon received a free-place grid penalty for failing to slow down during the red flag in FP3.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus Ericsson has a 15-place grid penalty, 5 for a unscheduled gearbox change, and 10 for a power unit change.
Oh.
So there you go.
So he was going to be last anyway, wasn't he?
Yes.
In Q2, we had Ricciardo. Well, Ricciardo didn't set a time. He went out and then came straight back in. He lost total power. Mm-hmm. And he was caught on the cameras letting out his frustration with a primal scream into his helmet. Which was
not a happy bunny. Mm.
No, but it's good to see that passion there. I love that.
I think it's, it's partly the thing breaking down, but knowing you can't actually criticize the thing that broke.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, engine-ish. Oh, hang on. No. Damn.
Apparently it was the throttle actuator broke.
Uh-huh.
So man put foot down on pedal. Actuator didn't respond. So
yeah, that's all. Yeah, 'cause it's all fly-by-wire as well, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, a few drops of rain caught out a couple of drivers, so we ended up losing Ricciardo, Stroll, Sainz, Magnussen, and Leclerc. And in Q3, this is the one that really got me, because the rain was dropping down. Well, I think it had kind of drifted off a little bit at the start of Q3, but some people in red thought that it was raining harder than other people in the other teams. And so Ferrari came out on their inters, and Mercedes and all the other teams came out on slicks. And that proceeded to put the red cars on the back foot. They pitted immediately and really should have challenged for the front row, because I think once they'd got their the super softs on, they were pounding around, and they had the prime position. They were 90 seconds behind everyone else, so they should have been able to put their best laps in. But I think unforced errors or individual errors in both the red cars cost them their best places. They could have been on the front row, I think, but they'd missed their chance, and then the rain started to fall and nobody could put a faster lap in.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if the situation had changed ever so slightly and the rain had come, they'd have been heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd have set that time and no one would have touched it.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I did hear Red Bull apparently, Verstappen was on inters in the garage, but then as the light went green, they decided to go over to the supers or whatever, and swapped it then. So it could have been the Red Bulls as well, but it's because Ferrari wanted to be at the front of the queue and tooted off down and was sat there waiting at the end. And you heard Vettel on the radio saying, "It's too dry for inters."
Yeah. But then again, they had the opportunity to take it. They would have been on a drier track than everyone else with better tyres once they came in after losing their inters, and they should have been able to put them banker laps in. But silly unforced errors. I can't remember where Kimi ran wide, but I know Sebastian ran wide at Spoon curve. Oh no, Kimi slipped and slided around Spoon as well. And if they'd been able to put them a solid lap in, they would have been, I'm not saying they would be on pole, but they would have been at the very sharp end.
They'd have been better than ninth.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sebastian Vettel ended up coming in ninth, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So Lewis Hamilton got the pole position. Was it a special? No, it was his 80th pole position, wasn't it? I think it was.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's say yes.
It was his 80th pole position. He's nearly got more pole positions than we've got episodes on this.
Well, we're just going to have to redouble our efforts.
Or just keep at the same pace and we'll just pull away from him.
Eventually, yeah.
So Lewis Hamilton got pole position. Valtteri Bottas was second. Max Verstappen third. Kimi Räikkönen fourth. Roman Grosjean fifth. What? Huh? Hey, here's another one. Brandon Hartley sixth.
Yeah.
With the new Honda. And Pierre Gasly was seventh. Wow. In the Toro Rosso. Esteban Ocon was eighth. Sebastian Vettel was ninth. And Sergio Perez was 10th. Now, Ocon started 11th, didn't he? Because of his 3-place penalty.
Yes.
So really, in theory, Sebastian started 8th.
Yes.
I don't think it made that much difference.
Neither do I.
No. Okay, so that's all the qualifying and the free practices out of the way. Should we talk about the race itself?
Before we do that, we'll get down in a second. I just want to point out that a lot of people were heaping praise on the Hondas, their home Grand Prix, doing so well. And I heard one commentator saying, this is the engine that Ron Dennis thought he was getting in 2015.
Right.
Fuckload of good that's done doing them now in 2018.
It's 3 years old.
Yeah.
People don't have phones for that long nowadays.
No, and I will, without wanting to spoil, let's just say they didn't finish in those spaces.
No, they didn't. No, but I think it's once again, it's trying to get headlines on a certain day, isn't it? I think Toyota used to do that as well. They used to run really light on their fuel to get pole position. And then they'd have to come in, but with like 3 laps gone and just, it was just a highlighting thing, wasn't it? That's all that was. Yep.
Oh, they used to have it when, they were doing the pre-season practices.
Mm.
And if Sauber or Minardi would run a car with like nigh on no fuel and, as light as it could just to get a headline.
Yeah.
Because when Braun was doing really well, everyone was like, oh, they're just doing it to get some sponsorship. And it's just like,
no, they're not. They're actually quite good. Okay, so into the race then, yeah?
Yes.
Is there anything you want to just skip straight to? Because the start was clean, wasn't it? It was a clean dramas.
Start. Let's go straight to Verstappen, shall we?
Okay, right. Are we cracking our knuckles ready for this one, or what?
Well, we have 2 real talking points, I suppose, with young Max.
Mm.
The first one against a certain red car driven by one Mr. K. Räikkönen.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were coming up to, let me see, which turn was this? It was...
they were going through 130R.
Was it 130? No, it was...
And up to the chicane where they actually touched.
So they touched at the chicane, was it?
Yeah,
so 16, right. 17?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was earlier than that. But anyway, it doesn't really matter where it happened. Max locked up his wheels, ran out wide onto the grass, and then decided to come straight back onto the circuit and effectively pushed Kimi out to the other side of the circuit.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, I have a right to be here. I am Max Verstappen. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my dad is?
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And did Dundu occur a 5-second penalty as a result of that? Which I thought was a bit cheeky on old Max's part there. This because really, if you'd gone off there, you should have. He kind of had to turn back onto the circuit to join where he did.
Yeah.
Whereas what you'd probably would have done is gone more straight on, missing that corner effectively.
Yeah.
And forced to concede that space to Kimi, which is really what should happen if you have to leave the circuit to keep a pace. It's bad form, I believe.
Well, I think Kimi was hounding him enough to make him miss his braking point and force that error, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, there is a runoff area. And if you need to use it, then you need to abide by the laws that are set down there. And I don't know if there was any cones put out there, so he had to go through the cones. We'll talk about Alonso and the way that he took that as well in a minute. But he looked like he wanted to touch the apex to prove that he was still hit the apex. And he just did. It was a calf's width on the wrong side of the apex line. But I don't think he intentionally meant to push anyone off.
No, I don't think either. But I do think he was so intent on keeping that space, that position, that it was like, well, to hell with you.
Yeah, the problem was he was on full lock on the left coming back onto the track, and he couldn't get his car over. I think if he could have given Kimi a car's width, I think he would have. But his steering lock just wouldn't let him do that. And so that's where you need to use the escape road. So I think he was forced into that. 5-second penalty though. Do you think that's warranted?
Yeah, but I don't think it's so much warranted for the collision, so much as he kept a position by running off the road.
Yeah.
He then didn't give that position back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of precedents. You either give the position back or you take a penalty, like you do.
Yeah. Well,
I think if he had then pulled over and actually let Kimi go by, he probably wouldn't have had a penalty.
Oh, I don't know. I think he still would have, because I think the penalty was for rejoining the track in a dangerous fashion.
Well, it was, but I feel that I think that was the stated purpose of the penalty, but I think if Kimi had come out of it ahead, they'd have probably just said, fait accompli, he's done it.
Yeah.
It's not hurt Kimi's race, it's hurt Max's race, so, that'll do. We don't have to punish anymore.
Okay.
One thing I don't like, though, and this is this is becoming our new thing with old Max, is him bitching about Charlie and the stewards on the radio. It's always just like, oh, I'm so hard done by. They're ruining racing. How dare I'm going to tell my dad on you all.
Yeah, I've heard him bitching a bit, and I suppose he kind of needs to suck up a little bit, doesn't he?
A little bit. He reminds me a lot of Hamilton in, I guess, 2009, 2010. When he's going through that weird period with his dad and everything, and just a little crazy. Not crazy, but I think he was still trying to find himself. So maybe. Well, we saw it early in the year as well when he didn't come with his whole entourage. He was a much calmer, better driver.
Yeah.
Without as many people whispering in his ears how he's the chosen one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think, right, look, this is not a criticism of him. I think he's a fantastic driver. But maybe his own ego has been stroked a little too much.
Oh, I definitely think that's the case. And he's been drinking at his own Kool-Aid for a while now. I
think so. And we can't really blame him because he's he's still a kid, really, isn't he? He's 21, but he's still young. He thinks he knows best. And we all know.
And, I was going to say, the other thing as well is every single race where he's even with a sniff of pole or a win, it's always, are you going to be the youngest driver ever to do this? Youngest driver ever to do that? And every day, he's one step further away from being the youngest driver to do something.
That's right, yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure putting on it in that respect as well. Because we used to see this with Vettel back when he was the youngest one to do all this shit. So
yeah, well, I think we've seen it a lot of the time. We've seen it with Schumacher, we've seen it with Alonso, we've seen it with Hamilton as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
And they all have their own period of going through that stage of, well, hang on, I think I'm going to listen to this and believe everything that's been said, but only the good stuff and forget about the negative stuff. Look, I think he's brilliant. I think he's brilliant for Formula One. I think he's going to have a brilliant future as well. I'm not going to say he's going to be world champion because too many people turn around and say that about too many other drivers. And we're we all thought Alonso would have 4 or 5 by now, and he hasn't. He's only got 2. And now, by nowadays standards, that's not a lot, is it? That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
Not anymore. But I want him to keep doing well. I don't want him to lose his edge. But stop believing in all the hype about yourself.
Yeah.
Getting a bit entitled. But
just a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that on the next lap. Because
I was going to say, then a few laps later, we then had another little incident, if you will. Well, actually, between that, we had a safety car, didn't we?
Yeah, that was between Leclerc and Magnussen, wasn't it?
No, yeah, because Magnussen shredded his tyre, didn't he? So he was limping back, getting rid of bits of tyre and bodywork on the way.
Yeah, he totally blocked off Leclerc, though, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Magnussen's another one who I kind of go back and forth on Magnussen.
Yeah.
1 minute I think, okay, yeah, no, he's quite good. He's got a bit of fight in him. I like that. A bit of aggression. That's good. And then he comes across, I don't want to say dangerous, but certainly reckless. Mm-hmm. And he won't listen to criticisms. It's just like, he gets a little Max Verstappen, basically. And right. It's just like, I'm right, screw all of you. But anyway, he did that, dumped a load of tyre on the way back to the pits.
Yeah.
And they called for a safety car. Do you think that was a warranted safety car?
Yes, because that damage was all down the pit straight. It was on the pit exit as well. And
you don't think there was another thing they could have maybe done instead of a safety car? Another tool, another arrow in the quiver they could have maybe used?
No.
Maybe something not requiring an actual safety car, maybe something of a more virtual nature, perhaps.
No. No, because we did get one of them later on as well, didn't we?
Did we? I might have dozed off about it.
Yeah, I forgot when we actually. I know when that was. That was when Leclerc went out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was when Leclerc went out. But no, I'm not going to mention that thing. Because fuck you. I know. My first day on the job would be to, right, okay, where's that rule? I'll just scribble that line out and we never speak of that ever again. That's my first day.
It almost feels like Formula One's done that. And if you hadn't told me they'd used it later on in the race, I'd have been like, have they just given up on it?
Oh, yeah.
Quietly just pretended it doesn't exist?
It has gone away a little bit, hasn't it?
They used to have it on a hair trigger.
Yeah, they did.
And I honestly think this is the sort of thing they probably would have deployed it for. Because it was early enough in the race where the cars were still relatively bunched up. Not as bunched up as they would be behind a safety car, but I feel that there was enough time between the last car going down the straight and the first one coming down. They could have cleared it.
Yeah.
But they went for a full safety car.
It's drama, isn't it? Come on, we all love a safety car.
Oh, hey, no arguments from me. And it was early enough in the race where it's not like Hamilton had built up like a minute's lead or something like that.
No.
So it didn't really alter anything in that regard. But it did have an impact, boom,
Hey.
Shortly afterwards when Vettel, cut his way through the field. He'd gotten past Kimi, hadn't he? And he was behind Verstappen.
Well, I thought he'd done quite well off the lights. He'd worked his way up. He'd gone around. I think he went round the outside of Leclerc, going into Spoon.
Yes.
And so he'd done quite well there. And then he caught up to Verstappen and Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi got knocked back behind him after the touch, and then he was lining him up for that. So he's gone from 8th to 4th within 1 or 2 laps, maybe 2 laps. Mm-hmm. So I thought he was progressing very well.
He was doing all right. And then you had the commentators curse.
Yeah.
But they're basically saying, okay, now all he's got to do is just sit behind Verstappen, wait for the pit stops, because with a 5-second penalty,
yeah,
you are in effect ahead of him on the road. And I almost wonder if in his mind he thought that Max has been told this. And maybe what he's thinking is, don't lose time fighting with Vettel because we've got a 5-second penalty to do here. So he is ahead of you on the road regardless. Just let him through. Maybe that's what he was thinking, because that's the only thing I can think about to explain what he did next.
Okay, so Sebastian decided to take, I'm going to say it, I thought he took a lunge down the inside of Verstappen at Spoon Curve. And it's not necessarily the easiest place to pass.
No.
Although people were saying, oh, you just don't pass there. I can't see why you can't pass. It's a corner. It's an opportunity to pass.
I think you can pass, provided there is provided you don't have any oversteer.
Yep.
And provided there's a car's width and your car is faster than the car in front.
Yes.
You meet these criteria, you can pass.
Okay. So they came together, didn't they? They came together in the middle on the apex of Spoon 1.
Yep.
And Vettel went round and Verstappen, he went wide. I don't think he lost any positions.
No, I think he might have slipped. I think he slipped behind Kimi, but he went wide because the way it happened is they touched front wheel almost to front wheel, I think it was.
Yeah.
But then what happened was Verstappen's rear wheel took out Vettel's barge board, and that kicked him into the spin.
Yeah.
And Vettel was left beached, effectively facing the wrong way, while the rest of the train came by.
That's such a sore thing to see go by.
I kind of pictured him just sitting there with the indicator on, just waiting for traffic so he could pull out. He just sat at the junction and he's just like, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
That would be an amazing radio. I've spun. Oh, man.
So that's kind of what it felt like. And I feel that Vettel and Ferrari's frustration from all of this is that in neither of these collisions, none of them slowed down Max. That Red Bull's built like a bloody tank.
They're hitting him in all the wrong places. That's the problem.
It is. But yeah, Vettel kept going. Verstappen kept going. Sorry, Vettel spun around, and I think he rejoined effectively plumb last. I think only Magnussen was behind him at that point.
Yeah.
And all that hard work had to do it again, now with damaged barge board, which, to believe the commentators, is the sole thing responsible for all of Ferrari's performance is just that one side's barge board. Because now that's gone, this game, you may as well just pull into the pits.
Oh, yeah. He's got no chance, has he?
Got no chance. All of the Ferrari downforce is down to that one barge board.
Yeah. But, okay, the actual move itself, do you think it was a lunge? Do you think the move was on at all? Or do you think that he should have just, well, I think we both agree that he should have just bided his time and maybe even got him at the chicane later on in the lap. But who's at fault on this one?
I would say it's 80-20 to Vettel.
Yeah.
I think with another driver, okay, if it was Ricciardo, yeah, let's say that. So same car, we stick Ricciardo there. And we know Ricciardo is a very tough racer. But if you had Ricciardo in that position with a 5-second penalty and you got Vettel coming through there, I think Ricciardo is aware enough of his race and everything to know that I don't need to bother wasting time fighting. I'll make it hard, but look, he's ahead of me on the road regardless. So let him through, slip him behind him, and get him to tow me up to Bottas, or something like that. Just sit and do that, because there's no. I mean, he could have had a rear puncture from that collision. He could have spun around. Yes, Vettel caused it, but Verstappen was still complicit. There's a couple of drivers who, if I was racing against, I probably wouldn't try and make moves on because I don't trust them. Yeah. And I feel that certainly with Verstappen and possibly with Magnussen and a few others as well, they've kind of nurtured this reputation to stop people trying for passes. If you're coming up to pass the person and you're not sure if the pass will, they'll take you out just because, death or glory, effectively.
Yeah.
you're not going to drive a pass.
That's a good reputation to have, though, isn't it?
It is, except for when you collide a lot. And then it's more a case of you're just dangerous. You see, when you're doing it and you're winning or doing well, you're thought of as Verstappen. When it's not going so well, you're thought of as Magnussen.
Yeah.
And that affects your stock on the grid. It affects how the other drivers interact with you. And when penalties start getting dished out and things like that, it affects that as well.
Mm.
I mean, what you also might find in those sort of situations is the car in front, won't leave the gap for you to come through. Won't even give you a hint of a gap, effectively, because if you go into that, you're going to cause a collision and take them out.
Yeah.
So we often hear when you have like Hamilton and Raikkonen fighting, or if you have Bottas and Ricciardo, Perez and Ocon, when they're racing against anyone other than each other, they always talk about there's great respect from the drivers, they trust each other implicitly, and that's all fine. I don't think you have that with Verstappen. I don't think there's the trust there.
Mm.
But all that being said, Ferrari and Vettel need to accept they are primarily to blame for that collision, and saying it's entirely Verstappen's fault is wrong. You're just as, if not more, complicit in that collision than anyone else, Mr. Vettel. You have no God-given right to be there any more than he has a God-given right to be there.
No, that's right. Okay. I would give it 90-10 to Vettel on this. Just because the fact that Verstappen's there and it'll piss a couple of people off that I gave him 10%. But Vettel, he had the momentum. He had the slipstream going up to Spoon. He lunged for it. It was a definite lunge. I don't think it was a calculated thing. I think it was if I catch him up, then I might go, I'm going to go for it now. And he just instinctively went for it.
Yeah.
Now, if he'd been half a second, maybe a tenth closer, then I think he would have bumped wheels. Both wheels would have bumped each other.
Yeah.
And Max would have come off worse. Because Vettel would have hit the apex, he would have bumped him off, and he would have been able to ride that and carry on.
Yeah.
But he timed it just a bit too late. He hit, his front wheel hit the rear face of Verstappen's front wheel. So he wasn't alongside. He did have a car down the inside of him. He had every right to be there because he'd positioned himself there. Because we all turn around and say, look, he hasn't got half a car or whatever it is alongside him, so he hasn't got any real right to be there. I think he had a right to be there, but for that move, you need to be a little bit closer for it. And so lunging down there is not the way to go. He passed several cars throughout the whole race without incident and took them very, very well at that corner. And it worked every single time, apart from when he came up against Max, who I think he just took the line. Although he did,
Verstappen?
He did give him room though. I think he did give him a bit of room, so he knew that he was coming.
I think there was some room there, but it was half-hearted, if anything. And I just think that if it was another driver, if it was Ricciardo, if it was Raikkonen, not saying they were teammates, if you stick any of these people in that same Red Bull car, I don't think there would have been a collision. Or I don't think Vettel would have been so desperate to get past him, because we know there's form between Vettel and Verstappen.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm not saying that's Verstappen's fault, but he certainly has residence inside Vettel's head.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, though. He was desperate to get up the front, no matter what. All he was thinking about is the Mercedes and catching up with them and doing something with them. And Max was just another statistic to get past. And I think he was already thinking about what's he going to do with Bottas. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't really concerned about what he's got to do with Max.
Well, and again, because Max had the 5-second penalty, probably thought or maybe even been told by Ferrari that he's got a 5-second penalty, so he's not going to fight you for it.
Yeah,
obviously hasn't met Max.
Well, he should have breezed up behind Max, kept it close behind it, through Spoon on the back straight. Maybe give it a go into 130R or the chicane. Set him up for the chicane again. Why not? And Vettel's got the skills to do that, but I think he was just thinking one step too far in front of where he was. Look what he did to Hamilton in Monza. He did almost exactly the same move in the second chicane and came off worse again, didn't he?
Yep.
So he hasn't learnt from that at all. He hasn't learned that when the car's in front of you, you're going to get put round. One day he'll hit someone and then they'll spin round. I think that's what happened to him in China when Max hit him then. And he came off worse then. But I think there's been too many incidents this season for Vettel. He's bounced off too many cars to actually warrant him winning this championship. It's happened too many times this season already.
It's been very messy season for him.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the first half of his season, it was very messy for Hamilton. He just couldn't get it together, and not for necessarily anything he'd done, just more of getting things in place,
getting momentum.
He just couldn't get the momentum. Couldn't get the rub of the green, as they say. So, the first half of the season was all about Vettel. Second half has all been about Hamilton. It
has, yeah. I'd even say a little bit of the first half of the season being Hamilton. Once he got into his stride, that's it. He's so hard to stop. He's so good and so hard to stop. That's the thing. I think if you're a betting man, who would you rather place money on?
Well, now.
At the start of next season, even though we don't know what's going on.
Well, I certainly think my money's on at least a top 10 entry in the charts for #blessed out of all good bookstores at the end of the season.
No, I don't think Mercedes let him go yet. I don't think they let him go.
Do you think I'll just go and buy all the copies of it? Say, no one likes it, mate.
No, you can't do that because that means he's getting points and stuff like that for the... It gets indicated, doesn't it? He's tried somehow, but nobody's actually bought it. It's just Toto Wolff. He's got a massive warehouse full of them.
Yeah, maybe he just goes around the record stores and, but they're just empty. And he's like, they're not here, but I don't know what's going on. I thought they'd be everywhere. Who's my... If all's being equal, as in both the Ferrari and the Mercedes have equal performance to what we've had this time around.
Yeah.
Let's even throw in the Red Bull as well. Yeah, my money's still going to be on Hamilton.
Yeah.
Just because when he gets it hooked up, when he's got the momentum and the belief, because he is still #blessed, I think he's still probably one of the best drivers on the grid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Any other incidents that you want to talk about? Because, okay, there's one little move that I thought was very good. We had Leclerc and Hülkenberg going into the chicane. I don't know if you remember seeing this.
Yeah, I saw that one, yeah.
Leclerc set up Hülkenberg. He just bogged down. Leclerc went through, and then Perez went, do you know what? I'll have that as well, thank you very much, and went round the outside of Hülkenberg on the exit of that chicane. And I thought that was so sweet. That was such a sweet move.
That was good. There was quite a few. Okay, it was mostly in the midfield, but there was quite a few good overtakes, I thought, throughout the race. Which, I don't know if it's down to the cars or what, but it certainly seemed like there was more than there was last year. So, and also, a lot of them were in places you wouldn't necessarily ordinarily see them. So I feel that when the cars are kind of more or less evenly matched, there was some good racing going on.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately the ones out at the front were so far ahead. It was a bit of a no-brainer.
It was too easy for Mercedes, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, Danny Rick did a pretty good job carving through the field, doing an impression of Max Verstappen from Sochi.
He did exactly what Vettel should have done.
Yep.
He kept it nice and clean. He kept his head down, kept quiet, and got up to a position which was respectable.
In Vettel's defence, though, Ricciardo knows he's not going to win the championship this year.
Yeah, it's
Vettel
true.
still thinks he had a chance.
Yeah, had a chance. He's got no chance now.
Yeah, basically.
I know it's mathematically possible, but he's
Yeah.
got no chance.
But I'm pretty sure it's still mathematically possible for Bottas, and that ain't happening either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, yeah, Danny Ric had a nice, clean one. Towards the end, I don't think he had any real chance of getting by Verstappen, which
No.
is a shame.
No.
But it was a nice overtaking there. We had the Stroll and Alonso thing.
Okay, so they both got penalties for this incident, didn't they?
Yeah, they both got 5-second penalties, which seemed a bit strange to me.
Okay, it was going into the chicane again,
Yeah.
and Alonso went to go round Stroll and then came down on the outside into the chicane, and Stroll defended and then pushed him off onto the grass.
Yeah.
So that's where Stroll's penalty came from. He didn't give him enough room on the outside. He pushed him onto the grass. 5 seconds. I think it was 5 seconds anyway. But
It was 5 seconds, yeah.
so I'm 100% against with that decision of giving him a penalty for that. He pushed him off the circuit. But then Alonso got his fiery temperament back and just floored his car. And we've seen it in video games where you get pissed off, and so you decide, do you know what? There isn't a corner there. I think I might just put my foot down and see what happens.
Take the escape road.
Well, he took the escape road, but then cut half of Japan in half as he came back onto the circuit. He didn't go down the escape road and follow the escape road back onto the circuit. He just went, oh, look, there's a shorter line across this grass here. And if I put my foot down, I'll get there quicker. And so that's what he did. And he got a 5 second for regaining the circuit in a unsportsmanlike manner. Exactly what Verstappen got earlier on in the race.
So at least there's consistency there.
Yeah, there is consistency, but I don't know what was going through his mind. His car was bouncing all over the place. I'm surprised it actually made it out of that corner.
Can I say a little thing about Alonso?
Mm-hmm.
Now, regular listeners will know that we are big fans. We are both card-carrying members of the Fernando Alonso fan club. We have our stick-on sideburns. We have our kimono hats. And we have our own deck chairs, which we like to go and sit in the middle of roundabouts on the weekends, as all fans of Alonso do.
Oh, I've done that many a time.
Many a time. I think he should step away. Not at the end of the season, now. I know this was mooted by Ted, but I do agree. What has he got to gain by sticking around for the last 3 races? I think that McLaren car is now worse than it was in Barcelona. It's gone backwards in terms of performance. He's out in Q1, no chance of points. He's got a busy couple of weeks coming up with WEC.
Yeah.
He probably wants to be starting to, get ready and up to speed for IndyCar next year. Why not just take it out, let Nando Norris have the car, give him a couple of races to get up to speed before the new season, It's patently obvious Alonso doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, but he wants to race, though, doesn't he?
No, but this isn't racing. This is circulating.
Yeah.
There's an important distinction to be made here. And he still is going to be racing. He'll be racing in Fuji, in a Toyota, which is certainly capable of winning. Okay, it might not be against the other LMP1 cars, but at least he can race the other Toyota.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And hopefully they won't get disqualified this time round.
Exactly. And he wants to win that championship. He wants... Just Fernando, baby, you're hurting us. Just leave it. Don't. It's fine. We always love you, but you're hurting your own. It's a bit like Schumacher's last season at Mercedes.
Yeah.
You're not covering yourself in glory here. Go out on your terms. Say, "Now I'm good." You know.
I suppose that would be I don't know. I think I get the feeling that he knows that there's how many races left? 4?
3.
Hang on.
So a double header in the US and Mexico, and then Abu Dhabi.
US, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi.
Oh, sorry, 4, yeah.
There's
still.
4 races left. So he knows he's got 4 more opportunities, 4 weekends of racing some of the most technically advanced cars on the planet. I think he's just going to take them opportunities just to do the last 4 times. He knows he's only got 4 weekends of that now. He can see the end sight. It's like when Lost came to an end and people were like, oh, I can see it. There's only 3 episodes to go now. There's only 2 episodes to go now. What's going to happen? And I get the feeling that he's acting like that now.
I don't think he's enjoying it at all. I really think this has become a job for him.
Yeah.
He's turning up. He's going around. After that penalty, you heard him say, "Oh, what's the point?" You know, it's just like, no points. I'm getting penalised. It doesn't matter.
He was like that last weekend as well at Sochi, wasn't he?
Exactly. Now that the chance of points seems to have gone, now that they've slipped to fractionally ahead of Williams, I just don't think he's got any interest. There's no one to fight anymore.
He would have been, I think, going into the mid-season break, he should have just not turned up for the first race after that. And everyone be like, where is he? Where's Fernando? And then just nobody knows where. Create a mystery about it.
You mean he's going to start walking around in a red and white striped top?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know what? Maybe they actually should start doing that. Like, where's Fernando?
That'd be a wicked book, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing. No, but I'm saying he should do that now. So he turns up at the race weekend and he goes and sits somewhere in the grandstand. And we've got like freeze TV and say, where's Fernando?
Oh, I would pay double for that. And it'll be like 360 cameras as well, panning across the stadium.
And he could be anywhere because, maybe he's going to be running one of the cameras somewhere, or maybe he could be a marshal.
He certainly is not going to be in a fast car, though, is he?
He's sat up in the steward's office. Or all of a sudden you find Burt Mylander kind of tied up around the back of a garage. Fernando stolen the safety car.
Well, he's flying the medical helicopter.
Yeah. But whatever he does, I don't think he wants to be racing that McLaren.
No.
Because all he's doing is he's not racing, he's circulating. He's making up the numbers.
This is the whimper that you mentioned earlier on as well.
Oh,
isn't it?
This is. Oh, I don't even think it's a whimper. This is more of a little squeaky fart.
Oh, yeah, it's a sad trombone, isn't it?
It is, and I just think that there's no benefit for Alonso to be doing this. But if you give Lando Norris, a couple 4 races in the car, let him get comfortable, get used to the racing team. That's, given how limited testing is, that's 4 weekends worth of experience before they even get to the preseason testing, which means he's got a baseline for how the car's going to be next year. So at least he can look at it and say it's better or worse.
Yeah, well, maybe they could just put Alonso's helmet onto Norris. Let him drive around as Fernando Alonso, carrying the number 14, doing his job for him, and Fernando doesn't have to turn up.
The thing is, I don't think Norris is old enough to shave yet.
No, that's true. He'll need a booster seat in the car as well, wouldn't he?
He'll need a booster seat and like some stick-on sideburns and,
Just carries a deck chair around with him.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, I think Alonso, as card carrying members of the Fernando Alonso fan club, I think it's time Alonso bowed out gracefully.
Yeah, we can see the end, and
unlike Kimi, he ain't going to go gracefully.
No. Kimi would do his 2 years at Sauber, and then people would be like, oh yeah, let's have a party for Kimi. But I'm not going to the party.
I'm going to go and write poetry.
I will sit on mountain. For sure, I would like it. But Alonso, he'll have a good old party at Abu Dhabi, and it'll be, if Hamilton's already wrapped it up by then it will be the Alonso leaving party, won't it?
You see, I think if Brazil was the next race, I could see him doing that and then ducking out.
Yeah.
But, yeah. We will see. We will see.
Yeah, I can't see them doing it now, though.
Yeah.
I get your idea behind it, but
it's been a crazy old season for stuff none of us thought would happen. You know, Kvyat for one thing.
Yeah, it certainly has. Certainly has. Anything else that you want to mention? I know we said about Alonso cutting the grass.
Verstappen got a little close to Bottas at one point, but that was about it.
Well, he was saving up all his. They've got modes on them cars, haven't they, for Renault?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they were told that they had 2 laps of boost to be used before the end of the race, and I think he saved it up for the last lap. And coming up to the hairpin, he locked up his wheel, and I think that was the closest he'd ever been at that point during the race, and that was his only real opportunity. And he kind of fudged it a little bit, and that was it. He was not going to get anywhere near Bottas. There was no lunges down at Spoon Curve at all, was there? So
you're wrong, though. There's 3 modes in the Renault. Well, there's normal.
Yeah.
There's boost. It's fucked.
On fire.
On fire, yeah.
Oh dear.
I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other thing. Charles Leclerc went off. He said that he had something broken. So he pulled up on there's a gap in the fence just before the hairpin. And then they did bring out the VSC at that point there, just to clear away his car.
Yeah. And
there was I think Grosjean got jumped by Perez because of that VSC. He was on the phone moaning about, well, I was pushing the bound. This is one thing I can't stand about this VSC as well, because you have to run to a delta, but then they give him a tolerance on the delta as well. And so Grosjean was pushing his luck with the delta, and Perez was pushing his luck a little bit more with the delta, and was close enough to pass him and jump him. And so why not just throw out the car? Everyone can see what's going on. There's no delta to follow. I personally can't see the delta. It has no reference to me. I can't see the deltas on any of the other cars. So if he jumps a 10th, it doesn't mean anything to me. I can't visually see that. Unless it's like 2 seconds where, yeah, okay, you've beaten the delta and now you're going to get penalised for that. So once again, I think it's another nail in the coffin of the VSC for me.
So do you think in that situation they should have full safety car or just double waved yellows? What do you?
I think it would have been unfair on Hamilton and Bottas if you threw out a safety car just to clear up a car that's off. It's not. Is it off?
But fairness
fairness
shouldn't enter into it if it is serious enough that you feel you have to neutralise the race and stop it. It's got to be on safety grounds. Mm-hmm. And if it's on safety grounds, fairness doesn't enter into it. So it was either safe enough that they didn't need to use a safety car.
Yeah.
In which case, double waved yellow should have been enough.
Yeah.
Or it was unsafe, in which case fairness goes out the window and they should have done a full safety car. Which one was it?
It was a double waved yellow situation. But
so we're back in the situation, though, where they don't trust the drivers to slow down. for the double wave yellows, which is why they brought out the VSC in the first place, why that was brought out.
This is true. I've been hoisted by my own petard, whatever.
All I'm saying is it comes back to what I was saying before, in that I like the slow zones you get in Le Mans, where the slowdown is only for the sector where the incident is. You can race normally around the rest of the circuit. And I know people say, oh, well, that's not fair if you hit it at the wrong place. Well, it's like, well, what are the alternatives? You VSC the entire thing, which, as you pointed out, kind of just neutralised the race. They're just circulating at that point.
Flawed. Like, VSC is flawed. The
VSC is flawed. Or your full safety car, in which case, it's when it comes to safety, you can't really, you can't do a half measures thing.
No, that's true.
It's either safe or it's unsafe. Or they find another way to, get the cars to slow down for the double yellows. But it's because they don't trust them to slow down, which is why you just don't really see them used anymore, do you?
Well, if they're cheating the system on the VSC, then they need to get rid of that and then just throw a safety car. If they don't trust the drivers enough to slow down on a situation where a car was off the racing line, it was on the grass, it wasn't in the line of fire. And so, because the cars would be starting on that side of on the circuit where the car had broken down, and then pulling away from it on the apex of that corner. So they weren't naturally heading towards him. So, yeah, well, double wave yellows would have been good enough. But as you said, that's the reason why they brought out the VSC. So, yeah, okay, you'd have to throw a safety car.
Especially here at Suzuka.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Okay, safety car then. Safety car. If this was America, they would have thrown a safety car for that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Because they like the spectacle.
In America, if you sneeze, they'll bring out a safety car.
That's true, but they see that as part of the game, part of the showmanship, part of the spectacle. You go there to see close racing. If they can manipulate that a little bit and create a bit of close racing by throwing a safety car, then they will. And that's part of their game.
But they've given up all pretenses of it being a sport. It's purely entertainment, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
If you know what you are, then play to that strength. Whereas Formula One still has a bit of schizophrenia over who all it is.
Yeah.
Is it sport? Is it entertainment? Is it gambling? Who can say?
I don't think the gambling thing would work. How can you place bets and then have the result fixed by another team at the end of the race?
Yep.
And so all your bets would just have to be null and void if that sort of thing occurred. So that's another thing. No, I don't want to get into that. Okay, they should have thrown a safety car. That would have closed everything up, and we would have had a barnstorming finish, I think.
I think it would have been I think it would certainly have made the interesting to steal one of your phrases, which you haven't used in a while, which is disappointing to all our fans. But it would have made it very, very tasty.
Since you pointed that out, I've been trying not to say that. There's probably a million other things I should be trying not to say as well, but I don't care.
That's fine. But all good things in moderation. But it would certainly have spiced it up a little bit at the very end, where I still think Hamilton would have probably won, especially with Bottas as a real gunner.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if Verstappen had a sniff of that victory, then that would have been interesting.
That would have been good. Are you surprised that Ferrari didn't swap Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen around?
A little bit, but I think it was more they just felt that if they asked Kimi, he'd have said no. But I think of all the drivers, he's the one who just don't care. If you asked him, he'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, as long as you ask it to him straight on the radio.
Yeah. Exactly. He either wants a direct question or in the form of a haiku. If you do that, he'll do it.
Exactly.
Like offer him a magnum at the end of it. Say, look, we'll get you a magnum if you'll let Vettel through. Like, okay, if there's ice cream in it for me, I'll do it.
Oh, ice cream. Oh, good. I'm looking forward to that. That chocolate. I love that chocolate. Carlos Sainz got the last point as well.
and there was much rejoicing. Yeah. The Hondas kind of faded away. Just kind of disappeared, petered out. Apparently, they'd done some change. They got permission to do a change on something, and then were forced to revert the change on the grid.
Oh.
And they don't actually know why.
Right.
So, actually, I'll have a quick look now and see if the FIA's responded to the request for info. Let's have a look.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, what I'll do, I'll run down the list of the top 10 anyway. Because I think we got to the end of the race, haven't we? There's nothing else that we really need to mention.
There isn't, but I found the thing here. Basically, there was a tweak on the engines, something to do with post-shift ignition retard setting.
Really?
Apparently so. Anyway, they wrote to the FIA and were given approval to do it, but then they were told to remove it before the start of the race while the cars were under parc fermé conditions.
Huh.
Apparently they felt that Honda hadn't done the change exactly as was requested. So that's a bit weird. It's like they don't have a problem with the change, it's just you didn't do it in the exact same way. I don't know if it would have affected much, but yeah, Honda kind of, well, Toro Rosso kind of fizzled out at the end. And went.
Okay, right. Well, I'll run down the top 10 anyway.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton did end up winning the race. It's his 50th win for Mercedes, which is quite a feat. Valtteri Bottas was second, Max Verstappen was third, Daniel Ricciardo fourth, Kimi Räikkönen fifth, Vettel was sixth, Perez was seventh, Grosjean was eighth, Esteban Ocon was ninth, and Carlos Sainz snuck in there to nick the last point of the race. Mm-hmm. In the driver's standings, I'm going to do these. You can do the constructors if that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
In fifth position, there's no movement whatsoever in between all five positions. Max Verstappen has 173 points. Kimi Räikkönen is fourth with 196 points. Bottas is in third position with 207 points. Sebastian Vettel is second with 264 points, and way out in the lead is Mr. Lewis Hamilton with 331 points.
That's a 65-point advantage there.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I believe if Lewis wins next time out, I think that's game over.
If Lewis wins and Vettel doesn't finish second, it's game over.
Okay.
He has to finish second to carry on, but then he's just prolonging his pain.
Prolonging the agony.
Yeah.
Oh, joy. Well, it is what it is. Okay, constructors-wise, we have in fifth place Haas with 84 points. Fourth, Renault with 92 points. Then, there's a bit of a gap to Red Bull with 319 points. Ferrari with 460. And I think it's safe to say Mercedes have neatly tied up the Constructors' Championship with 538 points.
Yeah, that's right. I think they have as well.
Pretty much. So, yes.
Okay. So that's the race dealt with, but we have our predictions that we need to go through.
We have the important stuff now. Yeah, it's all been building to this.
The most important thing. And once again, I have to ask you the question, do you remember what you put down?
I don't even remember what I'm doing here.
Fair play. Okay, so in qualifying, Lewis Hamilton was on pole. I went for Sebastian Vettel, which was he's qualified 9th, started 8th, so I was well off the mark on that. But you went for Lewis Hamilton, so you get 1 point. Well done, sir.
Yay!
In the race, I went for a Verstappen. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? So I get no points for that. But you went for Mr. Lewis Hamilton. So you get another point for that.
Yay!
So bravo to you. In our third column, we said the total number of laps for the Hondas.
Oh, yes.
Now,
I remember that now.
I've looked down here, and the total laps for the Hondas, they did 52 each. So it's 104 laps.
Yes.
That's the guess that we should have gone for.
Yeah.
You went for 78. So you get no points, I'm afraid.
No points.
And I went for 96, so I was closer.
You were closer, but that means nothing.
That means nothing, apparently. Yeah, so no points for me. And we had a mysterious fourth column as well. And it was, we needed to guess who would be the top running Toro Rosso. And, well, I think you went for bottom running Toro Rosso. So you...
Yeah. You went for top, I went for bottom.
Yeah. And you said that Hartley would be out first.
Oh, but he wasn't out. He actually finished.
He finished 13th. Yeah. But you saying he's out, you don't get any points for that whatsoever.
No.
I, on the other hand, was so pissed off with Carlos Sainz getting 10th position, because I did say that Gasly would finish ahead of Hartley and Gasly would finish 10th. I was so pissed off with that. That was my only point I was going to get for that whole race.
And denied by Carlos Sainz.
God damn it. I think he only got him with like 2 laps to go as well.
It was close to I think it was the last overtake on the thing, yeah.
Yeah. I was sat there going, oh, come on. Just get me 1 point. Just get me 1 point. But no. So.
It was not to be.
Alas. Although Gasly did finish ahead of Hartley, and it's only in the 11th position. So, yeah, no points for me on that one. So, wow. Okay. So, in the leaderboard between me and you, I didn't get any points whatsoever. So, I am on 12 points, as I have been for the last couple of races. You, on the other hand, had now jumped into the lead for the first time this season.
Wow.
And you have 13 points.
Oh, unlucky for some, but all to play for with only 4 races left.
Yeah, that is right. But it all swings around now because I get to choose first.
You get to pick Hamilton now, yeah.
Okay, so predictions. What we got next time out? It's United States Grand Prix, isn't it?
Circuit of the Americas, the US Grand Prix. Last time out in 2017, pole position was one Mr. L. Hamilton. Podium was one Mr. L. Hamilton, Mr. S. Vettel, and Mr. K. Räikkönen, with a fastest lap by Vettel. And in terms of all-time records, the most wins here is Mr. Lewis Hamilton with 6, then Schumacher with 5, and then Graham Hill and Jim Clark with 3 apiece. I don't think they're racing this weekend, though. So
I'd go with Clark. Definitely go with Clark.
So there you go. Okay. So ever since it's been back here at the Circuit of Americas since 2012, Hamilton's won every time except 2013.
Who won then, do you reckon? It was Rosberg?
It was Vettel.
Oh, was it Vettel? Oh, okay.
Vettel won. And I think Hamilton was 5th. Why was he 5th? Oh, wait, no, I was qualified 5th. He finished 4th.
Right. Okay, right. So, predictions.
So you get to go first. You can go first. It's you.
I get to go first.
You do. The question is, do you play for points or do you stick to your morals?
Well, morals, you know.
They're not as nice as points, are they?
They're not. But then again, I've got to think about it, right? If I go with Hamilton and get 2 points.
Yes.
I could jump you for the next race.
Oh, you'd have to wait for the next race if you want to jump me, mate.
But do I want to keep this position until Abu Dhabi, where I can then jump you at the very end? It's that close. I've only got 4 races now. I could hold back until the last race and go for that late lunge.
It's true. And we do have a strong tradition of having a stupid category on the last one with so many points, but whoever gets that right can win. Last year, I believe it was, if Alonso wins the race, that person would win.
Yeah.
Our back. It would be like, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to go with Lewis for pole position.
Good plan. I was actually just going to check and see if we can get a long-term weather forecast for Austin.
But it's like in 2 weeks' time, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you can still get 2-week temperatures out there. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Austin with her.
It's not Michael Fish doing it, is it?
I don't think so. And it's not that bloke who used to be on the floating map either.
Oh, no, don't. No, nobody talks about that guy on the floating map.
All right. I can get you 10-day forecast. So let's see. Oh, you see today, scattered thunderstorms. Thunderstorms tomorrow, partly cloudy. Sunny on Thursday, part cloudy, rain. Rain and rain. It's a bit changeable, you see.
I'm still sticking with Lewis for pole. Who do you want to go with?
Who do I want to go with for pole? Fuck it. If you're going with Lewis, I will go with Vettel.
Okay. Lewis has had a good run recently, isn't he?
Well, he has won the last... How many races? Lewis has won the last 4 races, came second in Spa, and then won the 2 races before that.
Yeah.
And then came second in Silverstone. So pretty much, in fact, every time he's finished a race, he's finished on the podium.
Yeah.
And the only time he's not was Austria.
But he was getting engine niggles. We didn't mention that, but through the race, he was getting engine niggles.
He was
due.
Yeah, they are due. Both of them Mercedes are due, actually. In fact, have they used up that allocation? We need a website which is, someone on the Wikipedia needs to make a note of which engine they're up to.
Yeah. I'm sure it's there somewhere, but I'm going to go with, for the race, Vettel. There you go. In your face. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Yeah, I did. I'll go with Hamilton then.
Oh, no. Okay, cool. Third column. I haven't given any thought to this whatsoever yet.
Well, if we listen to what the US president said during the Russian Grand Prix, because he's going to be there apparently.
Oh, is he?
He's going to be there, and he hopes that an American driver will win. So I think if an American driver wins the Grand Prix, whoever guesses that driver correctly should just win the championship point blank there.
Weirdly, though, Putin would have been closer if he turned around and said a Russian driver.
Well, yes, because it does help that they
we don't
have it. Well, they do. They've got Sergei Sorokin, don't they? So yeah. Okay, so let's see. What can we do?
How many prostitutes will Trump finger while he's at the Grand Prix?
Let's just walk away from anything to do with the Cheeto in chief. Right, let's have a look here.
Come at me, Trump. I don't give a shit. You're a fucking idiot. I've tweeted him that as well. No, I think I called him a fucking cunt.
No, good on yourself.
He didn't get back, though.
Did he not?
No.
Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe you should send it again.
I will do it in the future. Don't worry.
All right, I'm just having a look. See what are the big standouts. I mean, when you think of US Grand Prix, what do you think of?
That corner.
The first corner.
Stupid first corner.
The stupid first corner.
I think I've said this before. I think it's a gimmick. It's like running your Scalextrics up the wall. It seems like a really good idea at the time, doesn't it? You think, oh man, you imagine if my Scalextrics went up the wall, and then you nail it to it, and then your dad comes in and you go, "What you done that for? Take it down." And now you just got holes in the wall. Stupid idea.
Right. How about? I don't know.
Where's Alonso going to finish? Because he's on a downward spiral at the moment, isn't he?
He is.
We haven't done anything with Alonso. We've only got 4 races left to do something with him as well.
We do. You're right. So where do we think Alonso will finish? Well, let's have a look at his form in the last few races then.
Okay.
Alonso, where are you at? There you go. So we've had 2 14ths, a 7th, 2 retirements, an 8th, a 16th, 2 8ths, a 16th, 2 retirements, an 8th, a 7th, a 7th, a 7th, and a 5th.
Okay. I'm going to go with... I'm going to be burnt again. I'm going to go with 10th. Alonso to finish 10th, yeah.
Alonso to finish 10th, all right. I'm going to go with Alonso to finish. I'm going to go with a DNF.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's different. Okay. Looking out for Mr. Alonso.
Right. Partly is because you say Mercedes are due. McLaren are definitely due.
Yeah.
It's been a while since one of them has broken down.
That's true, yeah.
Should we have a comedy fourth one, or should we just leave it at the 3?
I think we'll leave it at the 3 for this time round, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Right. I didn't get your opinions on the circuit of Americas. What do you think of it? Are you looking forward to it?
I kind of am. I feel like I don't want to like that circuit, but I feel like it's given us some good races.
I think it's got the elements of a good track there. I think it has the potential to have a stonking race.
Was it 2015? I think when it was Hamilton when he broke Rosberg, basically.
Yeah, I think it was 15, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he passed him at that left-hand turn, didn't he?
He went full Khal Drogo and not Khal Drogo, Ivan Drago, and goes, "I must break you."
Yeah. Who's Khal Drogo?
Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah. You were thinking of Carl Weathers as well, weren't you?
I was. Yeah. I was thinking of all these things at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So until next time, are you going to be around for the next time? Because I know you're flying off again, aren't you?
I am off to the land down under.
Yep.
So we'll figure out a way for me to do this and be a part of it. I just have no idea what time I will watch the race or what time I'll be available to chat to you, because it'll be like it'll be like next Wednesday on the Sunday when the race is on.
Yeah.
So there might be a slight delay between the recording and coming back. I will, however, be back in the country for Mexico.
Okay, cool. Right. So I'm sure the listeners won't mind a little delay. Sorry about the delay on this one, but it just wasn't going to happen yesterday. There was no way that was going to happen, but we really do appreciate you downloading it and listening to it. And I'm surprised that anyone downloads and listens to this sometimes.
We love your feedback as well, your suggestions for things like dramatic readings of Kimmy's haikus.
Yeah.
Like I said, you find that book, send it in to us. Elton will read one every race. I guarantee it.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. So, have you got anything to plunder to these other people? Podcasts and stuff?
I've been properly terrible with recording my own podcast and haven't done any in a while. Okay. So I kind of need to get back to that. And actually, I have something I need to speak to you about after this, which I think you'll be interested in. But we will chat after this.
Okay.
But yes, you can catch when I do record podcasts, and we should be recording a particular one next week about a certain film. You can find all of our stuff at RogueTwoMedia.com.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
It is correct, yes.
Also catch me on the blackdogpodcast.com, which I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode. And I have a new episode of the Flicks Capacitor out right now. There's myself and Mr. Ian Lee talking about time travel movies. And this time out, we're talking about the 2016 film Ark, which you can find on Netflix right now. Look at me plugging Netflix and everything, and they're not paying me for that.
It's a disgrace. It's an outrage.
Yeah. So until the American Grand Prix, no, I'm not allowed to call it American Grand Prix. It's the US Grand Prix.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who's listened. Thank you to everyone who's downloaded. Please share it around. Please give us ratings and reviews and subscribe and do all the normal stuff that you can do with podcasts. And yeah. So until next time, thank you very much and goodbye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if October just got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?